Welcome to Pen by Design, the podcast for writers, authors, and creative CEOs who want their words to do more. I'm your humble host, Destiny Jordan, and on this show, we explore writing, publishing, storytelling, and creative entrepreneurship for those writing books, building brands, and creating impactful bodies of work. If you're ready to create with purpose and grow with intention, you're in the right place. Pen your own story designed by you. Let's get started. All right, everyone. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Pen by Design. All right, today's guest is the visionary behind the growing platform centered on literacy, confidence, identity, impact. She's an author, an educator, advocate, and creative leader. Jynesis Hawkins. Jynesis is the author of Kai, the Jungle King, a children's book rooted in self-worth, courage, and the importance of embracing who you are unapologetically. But her work extends far beyond the page. Through her advocacy, educational work, and the growing impact platform, she's creating conversations around personal growth, youth empowerment, and the kind of representation that helps young people feel seen before the world tells them how they should be seen. What stands out about Jynesis is her ability to blend storytelling with purpose. Her work speaks not only to children, but to parents, educators, and communities navigating how we build confidence, emotional awareness, and identity in the next generation. And today we're talking about writing with intention, creating stories that leave an emotional imprint, and the realities of building a mission-driven platform. Also, what it takes to use a creativity as both expression and advocacy. So welcome to the Pen by Design platform, Jynesis.
Wow, what an introduction. I am so happy to be here. I'm so happy to have this intentional space for us to really get down to like the nitty-gritty of literacy. So I'm so excited to be here.
So Jynesis, meeting you for the first time at the mayor's event was awesome. How you spoke on the stage and just your book in general. I was like, oh my gosh, this is so amazing. We had to have you on. But for those who don't know, who is Jynesis Hawkins?
So I want to say first, I'm a mother of an autistic son. I am an educator. I'm an advocate for students with disabilities, for literacy, and really just for women becoming their full selves and being able to embrace everything that God has given you and to continue leveling up. So that is what my platform mostly is about, how to keep going as a mother, as somebody who wears multiple hats, and how to glow up in that process.
Oh, that is amazing for one. And with that, when you're talking about how to grow and glow into what your process, what has your process been like about getting to this point right here?
It's honestly been such a roller coaster. I want people to really know that changing and evolving is a messy process. It's not something that's easy. And for me, it wasn't like a switch at one day. It wasn't like that. It was gradual feelings of like, this is not where I'm meant to be. This is not where I want to be, or I'm not expressing myself fully enough. And over time, you kind of lose yourself. And that's where I was like, we have to rebuild ourselves. I have to rebuild myself. I have to get back to where I was. Pregnancy, becoming a mom can really take a toll. So how do you express yourself, especially as a parent of a special needs child? So that's kind of where it brought me. And it brought me through literacy, through writing, through doing what I already do in my classroom to really amplify how I was feeling.
Also, hats off. Love it. I'm a special ed teacher, so you're just speaking my language. Love it.
Yes, it's really such a big thing. I feel like for me, there was nobody in my family with autism, or I haven't experienced it firsthand as a general ed teacher. So having a son like that, I really kind of ask God, like, what is that purpose for me? Why am I given this? Because, God only gives his toughest battles to his strongest soldiers. So I'm trying to figure out where I need to be strong at. Is it my patience? What do I need to learn? How do I need to grow to evolve to be, a great mother and continue to not lose myself in the process?
So when you're talking about your journey and this from motherhood, and you have a beautiful son with autism and all these different things and all these different processes while still being a teacher, working your full-time job, what are some of the steps or processes you took to kind of help you be able to do this?
I think having a village, having a strong partner, having people that are there to support me, my family, I think that was the biggest thing because I can't do it alone. I'm in a lot of things. I do a lot of things to be able to support my child. So for me, it's like I need that village to kind of step in when my time is not available.
And one thing I was wondering, so by the way, express yourself. Usually people think of like hobbies or joining groups or things like that. But you decided with a book of all things, people think this is the hardest thing to do. So how have you always been drawn to storytelling and advocacy, or did one lead to the other?
Yeah, so I tried the groups. I did. I tried the Facebook groups. I tried talking to people, but no one knows your story like you do. And as a teacher, I already teach ELA. I already teach kids how to read. My son is nonverbal. So for me, I wanted to create a book that focused on repetition because we know with kids with autism, like they thrive off of that consistency. They thrive off of things that repeat themselves, sing songy words. So I wanted to kind of create something that I could read with my son and that he could pick up on that language. Um, so it was rooted in how will this be able to be a tool in my household, as well as like how can I kind of share with the world that being different doesn't mean you're any less. It's really just a way to think and express yourself in a creative new way. And I wanted everyone who may be experiencing the same things as me to know that they are seen. And, as a parent, you're valued. As a parent, you're important. And we recognize the hardships that come with it. And I want them to know that I see you, girl, and you're not alone.
Oh my gosh, that's wonderful. Especially where you're saying like you're basically built a tool for yourself and you're like, hey, let me go ahead and like there's probably other people that can benefit from this same tool.
Exactly, exactly.
So with you writing the book, so when did you kind of realize like once you wrote the book and it's out there and it's kind of getting filled out by parents and students alike, when did you kind of realize that your work was becoming more than just the book itself?
Oh my goodness. So my book sold out in 2 weeks. I had 50 copies sold out in 2 weeks. And that was just like a small start for me to be like, wow, so people are interested in my work. I should be doing this more. I should be kind of putting more of myself out there. I've always been driven to start a nonprofit, the Impact Network. Those are things that have always been in my life plan. So I felt like this was just a huge step for me to get my voice, my face, my platform out there and using it through my students, using it through like the community that I serve. That has been really, it has really put me great strides in what I'm doing right now.
Oh my gosh, that is really cool. So I really love when authors or anyone that does anything with writing really makes it community based because we all want better for kids and we want better for ourselves. But better only comes when you do the work to make it better. So I really applaud you for doing the work. And you talked about your impact network. What is that?
So basically, in the future, what we're currently quietly building is basically a space for our teens to go to really express themselves with, for example, podcasting, music, arts, creative arts. Michelle Obama wrote this article saying that students who do participate in the arts perform better academically. So for me as an educator, I want to see how can I tap in to what students already love. I'm already a part of a nonprofit called Reading with a Rapper. So even through that advocacy, the way that they blend literacy in high school and with these pop and these hip hop new songs and get these kids engaged, that also is kind of like a push. But I want kids, for me, to create their own things. Like I feel like back in the day we had SWV, we had Monica, all these young people, because there was a school or there was places for them to go to really develop their talent. And I see that that's a need in Houston.
Oh wow! Look, explain that a little bit more. So, how can people like start to make those types of impact or make space for kids in that way?
I really think that we have to identify our kids' interests, not what we want them to do, not what we see for them, but what do they really like and what are they naturally gifted in, and really pour into that. And if it's music, okay. I wish like my parents, had got me singing lessons as a kid, so I wouldn't be starving for that as an adult. So it's like for our children, we really, really, really need to make sure that we're pouring into them in the ways that they need it, not the ways that we want it.
That's facts right there. And every child is different.
Every child is different, yes. And they all have these interesting gifts. And as a parent, your job is to discover that and really build it.
So you often are talking about some form of growth or improvement. So how do you define impact in your own life?
Yes, impact in my own life is really about reassessing who I am, what I want to be, and what I don't want. I feel like as women specifically, we need to create an anti-life. What I want you to write down everything you don't want. And if those are things that you are currently doing in your life right now, we need to scratch those off. We need to start building those better habits. And then you need to write a vision of your dream life. I want you to really sit down and think of if you woke up this morning and you had everything that you wanted, how would you wake up? How would you be intentional? Would you do a self-care routine? Would you go to the gym? Would you have a beautiful balanced breakfast? Would you go to a co-working space? Would you do content? All of these things. And if you're not doing that in your daily life, where can you insert some of those things from your dream life into what you're doing right now so you can build it to where you want to be?
Hold the phone, just dropping bars, the anti-life. I love it. Explain to me a little bit more. How'd you do this process yourself?
I feel like I'm currently still in that process. And if you check out my website, I do have a new book coming called The Rebuild Diaries. And it's really me walking us through this process of really designing who we want to be. We all have heard of manifestation. We've all heard of, oh, if I think it, I'll become it. If I say it, if I read my affirmations. But what is the real work? Because like I said, for me, it wasn't a quick flip that was like, I'm at the bottom of the barrel and I need to change. No, I was thriving in my career. I was still showing up. I was still doing all of the things. But when I came home, I still didn't feel fulfilled. So it's not always about what it looks like on the outside, but what you're discovering within yourself on the inside. And that anti-life is really what are you doing, or what are the things that you feel like you would hate to be in this rut? You would hate to be in this cyclical, kind of cycle of life. And those are the things that you want to immediately scratch off. If you know you're not a person that wants to be working in a 9 to 5 forever, and you're in a 9 to 5, okay, so what can we do to start building those extra streams of income, to start building your hobbies? Or if there's just so many things, you wake up and you know that the first thing that you have to do is get somebody else ready. So I'm trying to build a place where I have that financial support to have somebody in the house with me, to have to have all these things. So I think you just really need to build your life to where you see fit for yourself.
Ooh, that's so good. I think as women, we truly forget a lot of times because we're taught that you go to school, you get good grades, you go to college, you get a good job, and then you retire, and then that's it.
Yep. You're somebody's wife. You're somebody's mother. Mm-hmm.
Right. So never really, you don't have any other options.
No. And I feel like as somebody who did all the things, I went to school, I went to college, I got my master's, I did all the things that I was supposed to do. But again, where's the fulfillment of me? And what that looks like is that breakdown of okay, you have all these check marks on paper, but in real life, how are you showing up and how are you feeling? And I think, again, being a mother, having all of these changes, you kind of have sometimes lose yourself in that. And so my whole thing is not only celebrating my son, but also celebrating myself and the women around me who it's different. I see all these TikTokers, all these influencers who are building their life, but they don't have kids. They don't have any other responsibilities but themselves. So it's like, how can I create a lane for women like me who want the best, who want to lose weight, who want to do all these things, who want to like become the best version of themselves financially, spiritually, mentally, but don't have that goal, like that roadmap, because they still have to take care of somebody else. So that's really where I came to with my writing. With Kai the Jungle King, again, was to celebrate my son. But the Rebuild Diaries is really a love letter to myself and the women out there who are going through things silently and still wearing a beautiful smile on the outside.
And as you're still building, since you're building a lot of different things, and you're also building something that's also purpose driven. So there's a purpose to these Rebuild Diaries. It also can be emotionally demanding. So what kind of keeps you grounded when doing this type of work?
I would just say, they always say that you should dedicate your work to something, to someone. And so if you can't do it for yourself, do it for them. So I think everything is really rooted in love for my family and for my child and for the people in my circle. So every day it's like, okay, if it was just for me, I would have been quit. But because I'm doing this for such a, because, sometimes you don't have that motivation. Sometimes you don't have that discipline. Sometimes you don't have that drive. Like, it's easy to be tired. It's easy to be exhausted. But when you have it to do it for somebody else, it's like, dang, I don't want to do this today, but I got to show up for them because they're counting on me. And I want them to have the life that I dreamed of. So it's like, I'm going to keep working and I will exhaust myself until they have that, until they have everything I think they deserve. I think with Black women specifically, we think that luxury is so far off and so far fetched that we have to, work our hands to the bone to get it. I think that we need to start implementing luxury back into our lives, the little things. Can you get your laundry done? Like, go drop it off this week, put some extra money to the side to have little things taken off your plate. Maybe you can do a meal prep service. You can have a maid come. It's $19 on Home Aglow. Like, there's little things that you can do to really take that stress. I think we're taught to carry so much. And my kind of platform is, what can we do for you to really live this life that is not so demanding and overwhelming and overpowering, so that you can still be yourself and show up for the people that need you.
That's true right there. And especially I like how you talked about when you said you can like put some money aside and pay for small things. Like if you grew up, I don't know, with aunts and grandmothers say, you can't clean your own house. Why you got someone else cleaning your house?
But again, that's how I feel like we're raised. We're raised to be so strong and so independent. And for me, I really value like time to myself. I really value, easy life, a slow, intentional life. So what are the things that I can bring into my life that will take those things off of my plate so I don't feel so stressed and overwhelmed? I feel like it's easy, and for me, to live in this hyper vigilant state of like, I have to do everything. And we have to learn that, we're able to give somebody space to take things off of our plate.
That's true. So it's really giving people permission, like, to know, like, hey,
yes,
it's you. If you have the money, do it then. And then, or you can save up to it.
Yes, even if you don't, there's little things that you can start right now. Maybe you can wake up a little bit earlier and, do your skincare. Wake up 30 minutes early before the baby and like really have a slow morning, or plan your night out. Plan your morning out the night before so that you're ready in the morning. You don't have to, it's little luxuries, I think. And luxury doesn't always have to have a price tag on it. It's the little moments where you feel free, where you don't feel like the world is on top of you, where your shoulders can be like laid to rest and your head is high because you feel like, wow, everything that I'm working for is finally coming into fruition.
If you're enjoying the episode, make sure you're subscribed to Pen by Design and join the newsletter for more insight, resources, and encouragement for your writing and publishing journey. Pen your own story designed by you. Now, Let's get back into the episode. Awesome right there. Especially for just, I guess, feel like women, especially Black women too, is that it's okay to have a life that's different than what you live.
Yep. It's okay. Give yourself permission to want better, to have better, to do better than what you've seen or the environment. That I feel like, when we grow up in a scarcity environment where, oh, we're penny pinching, we're doing X, Y, and Z, we don't even know how to really take care of ourselves in a way that other people do to really ensure that they don't feel overwhelmed. They don't feel stressed. They don't feel so tired. And I think we have to get out of that scarcity mindset and really think in abundance. Everything is going to come back to you. If you're pouring into yourself, you're able to pour into others, and that's how God blesses you.
Amen. Also, ask questions of how we got started. Is this book right here?
Yeah, so my debut book, Kai the Jungle King, my son's name is Malachi. This was all about really him, me wanting him to see himself the way that I see him. So as a king, his name is Malachi King. So I kind of played off the words. So, he's the king. And I was thinking about animals are so, they can go into any space. You know what I mean? They're not so black and white or, things like that. I feel like it can really transcend across different nationalities, ethnicities. We can all relate to the king of the jungle, which is a lion. So I kind of had this inspiration where there's all these amazing animals that all have these different strengths, all have these different gifts. But why is the lion chosen? What's his reason? What does he have that none of these that he's the lion, the lazy lion? That's what they call them, right? They call he just sits in the sun. He just sleeps all day. He doesn't really do much until it's time. Why is he the king? And I wanted my son to understand that even why is he the king? Why is he Malachi King? Because even though with everything going on, you have something inside of you that nobody else has, just like all these other animals. So it's just, it's really a love letter to my son.
Oh, that is beautiful. And one of the things, I was reading your book, and it's fascinating. First of all, these graphics are popping. If those of you can see watching the video, I'm like, these graphics, I was like, oh my gosh, self-published art. I was like, oh, look, this is quality, guys. It's beautiful.
Yes, I want to quickly shout out Interfaith Publishing at The Collective. It's a Black-owned firm. They literally helped me from top to bottom. I did all the pictures, all the words, I think. But for them to get this book printed in a week for the Mirror event, it was... thank you to Interfaith Publishing.
Wow, that is amazing. So my thing I got to double take as well is for, yes, you're the author, but also to be the illustrator. I was like, whoa, how did you do both?
A lot of trial and error. If I would show you the first design, the first copy that we made maybe a year ago, it was so cartoonish, I would say. I feel like I had the words, I thought I was ready, but it just didn't scream off the shelf. So it was really a lot of editing and trying again and doing more and trying to make it as realistic as possible, but still pop out with the bright colors that I know my son would gravitate towards or that would make you pull a book off of shelf. So it's really just a back in the lab process. You're always fine tuning. You're always trying to make things better. And it's not a easy, fast process. This book was a year in the making. So for y'all to see the last, month of you guys didn't see the groundwork or the build of all of the, okay, this doesn't look right. Okay, this doesn't feel right. Okay, this doesn't sound right. How can I make this even better? It's such an editing process. And I know the authors out there, they know about it. It's you don't want to edit too much and then, you're not even where you started. So it's a lot of fine tuning.
How did you go about drawing your pictures? Do you just drew them in a sketchbook first and then you gave them to the computer?
Well, no, I'm not an artist. So, yeah, I'm not an artist. I definitely used a lot of my AI models prompting to really create a lot of the bases of the images and really having a visual that I already had and having that uploaded to really make these things come to life. Like I wanted to take real animals, real things that we saw, real things that we went to the zoo and picked out these different animals and then really like putting them into the computer. But there's so many things you can do. I'm a big advocate for using things to help make your life easier.
Now that is really cool. And I really love how you said just like, look, I used AI to help me out. Cause I was thinking in my head, that's like for doing a children's book with a lot of pictures, things like that. That can start getting up into the thousands, depending on how large your book is and all that. And so I was like, huh, when you were the illustrator, I was like, this is so nice. I was like, how did you do it?
Do it yourself. Yes, do it yourself. I feel like definitely use the things, obviously be careful, but use the things that can help you and make sure like you do have a publisher that's going to A-OK, get you your IBSN number and all of those things to make your book really yours.
That is amazing. So I love when I see authors that are pro AI and using it ethically and also respectfully. So I'm like,
Correct.
hats off to you.
Thank you so much.
So when you were writing this book, so was there like a moment when you're in the writing process where you're like, you were surprised how the book went?
Yeah, so the ending was not the ending originally. I feel like it was more so like, because again, my son is nonverbal. So it was really me pouring life into him. But I wanted to kind of change it to an alternate ending where, first of all, I think it's a myth. Kids that don't speak, they know what you're saying. They absolutely can hear. And that's why they say don't speak bad about a kid that's nonverbal or that can't speak, because they know and they internalize everything that you say. So I wanted to give him a voice of the things that I thought or I would think he's saying once I'm pouring myself into him or my life or my, just pouring self-worth and self-love into him.
Oh, that's awesome. So when you let your when people like parents have bought your book, maybe you're selling to schools or
Yes.
however you are distributing your book, what is the conversation do you hope that families or classrooms have after reading your book?
Oh my goodness, that's such a great question, because that is something that even when, first of all, my class was the first people to read the story. I, let them see it first. They gave me some pointers, gave me some tips, asked them how they felt about it, what they wanted to see. But what the basis of the conversation we had was surrounding why. Why and how did he transform throughout the book? What made him doubt himself? And what can make you doubt yourself? And how can you rebuild yourself? Again, even as a child, how can you rebuild your confidence, your self-worth? And how can you internalize the differences, but don't take it personal and still amplify who you are? Again, I think this book is kind of really telling you, you don't have to dim your light just because these other animals have these gifts. The cheetah may be the fastest, the monkey may be the smartest. That's true. And that's okay, right? It's okay for them to have different strengths and be great at their strengths. But you need to know, what do you have? What do you possess that makes you, no one else can be you? That's why you're the king. That's why you're the queen. That's why you're the person who's in this position. You have everything you need to be amazing and to be great, but you don't need to compare yourself or try to be like anybody else. So.
And I really love how even let's start with those who read this book and the work you do afterwards. This first book with Kai the Jungle King is that you can, as you're saying, you can rebuild yourself.
Yep.
Over and over again. And even I feel like as we grow up, we're constantly rebuilding yourself. You're different from when you were in middle school than when you were in high school. College was a whirlwind of stuff happening.
100%, very different. So if you know me before, then no, just kidding. But people are allowed to change, people are allowed to transform, and people are allowed to grow. I think we have to get out of that mindset of I know who they were. Okay, you know who we were, but you don't know who I am today. You know, God can definitely change hearts, change and work miracles. But I think that give your permission to know that you have a past and how can you use that as a testimony. Like, there's nobody that's perfect. There's nobody that did everything right. And use those things to maybe help the next generation not make those same mistakes as you. So I think it's just a lived testimony. There's things that I could never speak about if I never went through them.
Very true. You got a lot of people who talk about things they have no idea what they're talking
about. Yes.
But that's always funny. But I really like the idea of being intentional, because to grow, you have to acknowledge you want to change. And if you don't acknowledge that, then you're going to remain the same.
That's literally the first step is, come on, you can know you want to change for a long time, but it's that taking that first step to really saying, I'm going to. Not that I know this is bad for me, not that I know this is wrong, but you know what? I'm going to stop and I'm going to change. And even if it's a gradual change, I'm still going to do it. And I think that's what rebuilding yourself is all about. Showing yourself and making promises to yourself that you can keep. A lot of us have broken so many promises that we don't even know how to trust ourselves anymore. We keep saying, okay, I'm going to go do this on Monday. I'm going to meal prep. I'm going to cook on Sunday, and we don't do it. You're breaking that promise to yourself. So how can you even elevate and grow if you can't even trust yourself to do the things that you said you were going to do? So it's a lot of looking at yourself and understanding that sometimes you may be part of the problem. You may be part of the reason why you're not excelling, you're not moving forward, because you're getting in your own way.
And what would be some ways you would say to speak to someone like, hey, I see you told me you were going, like, maybe you're going to like work out 3 times this week, and you didn't come none of those times this week. Like, what's going on?
No, literally. And I feel like I've been there. I would never speak about something that I haven't went through. So being that type of person and still in the rebuild process currently, and I think that's why I can speak about it, because I'm going through it right now. But it's really start small. You have to gain trust with yourself again. So maybe you can't commit 3 times, like, because schedules change, things are going crazy. Commit to just drinking water for 7 days. Make yourself a small promise. Start with water. I can make a promise. If I can do that, then I'm going to maybe walk at least once next week, or once or twice. Then the next week, now I'm drinking water. I'm not even putting soda. I'm already losing weight because those empty calories. I'm going on a walk. The walk feels great. The sun is out. It's summertime. Okay, maybe I'm going to walk a little bit more. Now, maybe I'm going to find like a little gym or a local gym that I can start incorporating when I have and as a person that has a child, I advocate for places like Amp Fitness, $34, and it comes with a daycare. Like, there's no excuse anymore, and it's not that expensive. If you can spend $35 on a meal, on a family size meal, which I was doing for my family, like, I can spend $35 for a month to go to the gym and have my son have fun for 2 hours while I work out for 2 hours. So it's just small promises, and then you build on top of that. It's called habit stacking. Start with a small habit and then stack it. For example, like, if you want to listen to more podcasts, you want to pour into yourself with financial literacy, listen to a financial podcast like the Dave Ramsey Show while you're working out, while you're on the treadmill. So you're killing those 2 habits at the same time. You're getting what you need mentally, and you're serving your body physically.
I love that. Like, we really, sometimes I feel like we make things overcomplicated, because somehow that's how we get wired as we grow up, to make everything's complicated. Everything is more than it needs to be.
Exactly. And I think that's where you get stuck. I think it's the getting started part. And I know for me, it was like, okay, I say I'm going to do X, Y, and Z, but then it's like you overcommit. It's too much. This food goes bad. These things happen. And it's like, okay, I need to start small. because I'm trying to do too many big things at once. Start small. I'm an advocate for, a gradual release. That's what they teach us in school. When you're teaching kids, do what I do, what we do, what you do. It's like gradually release yourself into the life that you want to live.
And one of the things I really love how you're how the work you're doing is that since your story is so awesome, like everyone also, those who are watching, those who are listening, you should really grab this book. It is really a fantastic story and like a lovely story to read. It's so fun.
It's so cute.
But how did you with children's books? Because I believe you teach elementary.
Mm-hmm.
So with children's books, and you wrote with most children's books, you may read to your class, and with your own, how do you write a story like that without it being overly like instructional, sounding like an education book?
Yes, I really think you need to figure out before you even start writing, what do you want people to gain? What do you want people to get from this story? At the end, by the end, start with the end in mind. Even as a teacher, we plan based on what the test is going to be about. So I want you to plan based on what problem are you trying to amplify or like trying to solve, or what community act or community effort you want to amplify. What is something that you want people to take away by the end of the story? And then plan backwards. So if, for example, if I want you to change your life, I'm going to like think about what are all the steps? What are the ways that you need to go so that you can get to the end? And I also want to work the steps myself. But for a children's book specifically, if I want to write about kindness, if I want to write about people being kind, like I'm going to think about, okay, I don't want this to be a step by step. You should be nice. You should say hello. I'm going to blend that in naturally with the characters. So when I'm reading the story, I'm going to like, isn't that a kind thing to do? Did you see that he like opened up the door for them? Did you see that it's not like I'm saying it specifically, but you can see it through the words. You can see it through the actions and the pictures of the characters. They said politely. There's little nuances that you can add in to really get to the theme of the story.
Love that. So it's kind of like you want to show more than what you're telling them. Because if you keep telling me, I'm like, look, I'm not going to catch it.
Exactly. And kids, most of them are visual learners. So use the pictures to really amplify what the words are saying.
So with the writing for children, since there's like 1,000,002 children's books every year, and also people say that children's authors, that writing for children is a difficult thing. But when you write for children, what responsibility comes with writing for children who are still kind of developing their sense of self?
That's a huge responsibility. I think that as teachers, as parents, where are our kids' first stop? And they're trained to self-worth and they're trained to confidence. So it's important to get so many affirmational books in front of them at a young age before they're set in their ways, before they get to middle school, before, their peers are really digging at them. It's important for us, especially in elementary, to really pour into our children before it's too late, because you don't want to get them where they're having all of these comparisons to others. The joy of thief is comparison. So you really want to pour into them at an early age. Find books that really amplify confidence, that really amplify, whatever ethnicity there are. There's some for every single race and gender and ethnicity out there. So start by building their library intentionally.
I really like how you say emphasis on like having there's books for every ethnicity. So what does meaningful representation look like to you when you see it in children's literature?
It looks like relatability. I don't want my students specifically, like we just read Simon B. Ryman by Dwayne Reed. Like, we just read that in class because it's like, I want them to be able to relate to a fifth grade like out of Chicago that's walking around and there's trash on the streets. There's people sleeping on the side of the road. In Houston today, I see the same thing. You see the same thing when you walk outside. So it's like, or there's basketball courts that are unused. The city does not take care of them. So I wanted them to be able to put themselves in that book, but then also see, how did Simon use his voice to change? And I want my kids to do that as well. How can you use your voice to change and impact something in your community? Whether that is through a poem, whether that through a book, whether that's through music, whether that is like right now on a podcast. Those are all of the things I want our children to think about. How can they get their message across in a positive and a creative way?
Now that is wonderful, especially for children. And I really love how you're teaching your classroom to like be more aware. Because I feel like as you go through school, sometimes you become myopic instead of gaining a broad awareness of what's around you.
Yes, it's that big topic of like being ethnocentric, being only seeing what you see in your community and not know what's going around in the world. I think in books, that's the first time our children see themselves, sometimes in a positive light. So I think literature is so important, and it's so important to reinforce that not only in the classroom, but at home. As a parent, I try to advocate for having books in the house, and as an educator, because you make our life easier. Start in the home.
Now, that is right there, because that's where everything starts there. Because we're just a mini home, but you go home somewhere else 24/7.
Exactly. But I think, again, okay, you want, like, and I'm trying to put myself in their shoes, because it's like, okay, you want me to do this, but I work 2 or 3 jobs. I have to do X, Y, and Z. I don't have the time. Okay, well, how can you alleviate the things on your plate to make some time? That's why I'm an advocate of those many luxuries, the anti-life, the things that you're doing that's not really serving you, to kind of eliminate some of those things. So if you have to do laundry on Sunday, like all day long, why can't you drop that off to a place for $40 or a $150 wash and fold, and use that time to spend engaging with your child?
Some things to think about. And now you're building this wonderful brand. You're building your impact network. You're building something that's going to like probably outgrow you at some point. You know, it's going to be so impactful. But as you're building right now, how do you protect your creativity while you're building this brand and this platform?
I think I do speak generally, because I do want to protect my babies. You know, all of these things are things that I'm really trying to craft, and I would never present if I don't feel like it was all the way together. And it's different. It's not a perfectionist, but I do want to have something that's really going to serve the community that I'm speaking to, whether that's children, whether that's teens, whether that's adults. I really want it to transcend, because everything I'm doing is for the betterment of the whole. As you grow, I want the things and the platforms that I put can reach you as a kid, can reach you as a teen, can reach you as an adult. So even though my first debut was with children, my next is for women. I have a teen series on the way. Like, I really love writing. I really love expressing myself creatively, and really just finding new ways to amplify the issues that I see in my community.
So what are some ways or systems or habits that kind of help you stay consistent creatively?
Oh, so I feel like at this point in my life, I'm pretty busy. So just because I'm doing a lot, you know, again, I still have a full-time job. I'm still going to these different events. I still work with Reading with the Rapper. Like, I do a lot. So what I would say is enjoy some time to do nothing. That's the only way to keep your creativity flowing. But like, if one day you want to just bed rot, or you want to just sit on the couch and do nothing, do that. Like, recharge, reset, go get a massage, like do things that are going to help you not burn out so quickly. Lean on the people around you, lean on your partner, lean on your family, and really take those days that you have to yourself to be by yourself.
Look, that's facts right there. Because most time that's also against most advice. They said, look, you gotta hustle, you gotta grind, you gotta keep on going, keep on going. You sleep when you're dead. Like that whole situation. But you're saying, like, look, take some time to rest.
Take some time to rest and recharge, because if not, you're gonna find yourself burning out very quickly. And that's not rebuilding yourself. That's detrimenting yourself. That is putting yourself back in the same cycle that you were already in. So give yourself permission to be like, I'm tired. And it's okay to be tired. It's okay to be overwhelmed. It's okay to feel all the feelings, because then you can pinpoint it and figure out how can we use this emotion to kind of change what we're doing in our life to make it easier for ourselves. But you have to know. You have to know what is that trigger for you. You have to know what is draining you in order for you to replenish it.
That's true right there. And one of the things you mentioned earlier about the publishing company that helped you. So what part of publishing and this entrepreneurship type of life came with a steepest learning curve?
Oh my God, sizing of a book. That, to get the size right, that took maybe 4 to 5 tries. Just getting the sizing right, like figuring out what they can put on their paper, figuring out how big we want it, how small we want it. As an entrepreneur or a self-published like author, like you're putting up the money up front. So it's like the bigger the book, the more expensive it gets. So it's like you don't want a little mini book and then it doesn't really pop off the shelf. But then you don't want something so big and so grand that you think is beautiful, but it's costing you so much. So I think it's just very finding that happy medium, finding the things that are going to not tip you over the scale financially. Because again, in that rebuild series, you do not want you don't want to be stressing because of the financials, because that can make you gain weight, that can make you have acne, it can make you, there's so many things that stress can cause, and financial stress is one of the biggest factors.
That's true. Nothing worse about stress. Stress is stress about money.
Mm-hmm.
So what does sustainable success look like for you personally?
For me, it looks like what you said, like my businesses and my ideas transcending me, like still being around helping people even when I'm not here, being able to impact children, or having those children who I've taught years ago still reach out to me, still follow me on social media, still keep up with me because of the love that I already poured into them. So I feel like sustainable success looks like me still having an impact and influence down the line. In 5-10 years from now, I want to just grow my platform. Like, I feel like I am just in the beginning of my career. I'm 27, but it's like I feel like I do have a lot to give in the next 10 years.
Awesome. And at any point do you think, maybe just hypothesize, that as your brand and starts to build, do you think you'll have to step down for teaching, or do you think you'll be able to continue to teach?
Oh yeah, teaching. Shout out to the teachers out there, but it's not for everybody. I'm good at teaching. I want to say that. I am very great at my job. I'm great with connecting with students. I'm great at building relationships with parents. I am really good at my job, but sometimes as a teacher, the burnout is real. Also, you want to have that autonomy. Like, I don't feel like I can use my day and my hours the way I need to as a teacher. So teaching is a great stepping stone for the things I want to do in my career. It's been a great model of how to build what our teachers, what our students, and what our parents need alike. So I have that inside knowledge that I'm going to use to help build the things and the brands that I'm building. But yes, teaching is not 100%, not in my 10-year plan.
All right. Because a lot of people, I really love how you have confidence about that. Because a lot of times people, well, most people start their 9 to 5. You're told like you're there for the rest of your life, basically. Unless you have like a better second job, be like, not really up to trading jobs.
Exactly. And I work at a school where the demographic is fairly old, and I don't want to die at my school. And I don't mean that in a physical sense, but I really mean like I don't want this to be the last thing that I do. It has to be more to this. It has to be more like I know that there's more for my life than just being a teacher. Being a teacher was great and it got me my start, but I have so much more or so many more people to impact beyond the four walls of my classroom.
Love that. And I really love just have the confidence to say that because a lot of people, I feel like a lot of teachers I've met in my student teaching and just in my different schools I've been in, I'm like, you could do a lot of good stuff with what you know. And they're like, oh, but I can't really do it. I have no other skills. I
They're
was like,
scared. They're scared. But as a teacher, they need to understand that the intellectual property that they have, no one else can give. Like, you have something that no one else, you've been inside that classroom. You directly know what your parents need. You directly know what your students need. You directly know what teachers need, what admin need. All of these things you could be capitalizing off of. If you think your admin is trash, why are you not writing an ebook? Why are you not doing things or advocating for things to change or be better? You should be down at your school board office. Like, those are things that you can do to actively change the life that you're living outside of your classroom.
so it really is like it is acknowledging fear, but also doing something about it.
Exactly. Exactly. You have to change. You have to do something. I think that's what we're put on this world to do, is make things better.
That's true. And also, it's kind of hard because teaching becomes a community. After a while, you see the same people day in, day out. So it's kind of hard, I guess, for some teachers like to feel like they lose that if they do their
That's
own
the
thing.
trap. That is the trap. That is how they get you. The kids are great. You love seeing them. You love the community you built. You love the summers off. You love the consistency in pay. Those things are to walk away from is scary, and I get it, but that is how they trap you. If you know that your purpose is bigger than the classroom, do not be stifled by fear. That's what I want you to walk away with. Do not limit yourself because you're scared of starting over. You're scared of, is your paycheck worth your peace? Because I understand that as a teacher, that consistent pay, I know what I'm going to make every 2 weeks. I know that. And I know the summer's off and I know your breaks. But is that worth your mental stability? Like, is that worth your mental health? Is that worth your peace? Is that worth the overwhelming feeling that you feel or taking work home at night? All of those things, would you take a take a pay cut and chase your dreams? Or do you want to be stuck and never feel fulfilled?
Woo! Over here dropping bars over here. It's your paycheck worth your peace. Woo! And that's
Yeah, it's a lot to think about. And I think my brand is about food for thought.
yeah, I'm be nibbling on that for a while. Love it.
Take a little bite.
Love it. But also with your brand that you're building, because you're really big on having community and having people work together. What does community building mean to you? What does that look like for you?
It means going into the city, like doing initiatives that directly impact those that where you live at. So, for example, with me teaching a reading with a rapper, I'm teaching at the first after school program that is located inside of a municipal building. Like, I'm teaching inside of City Hall. I'm not out there like, I could be anywhere. But we chose City Hall to do the summer program, to know that we are actively in our communities, actively working with the people who can change laws and to change the things that are going on and the issues that we need, and bring that straight to you guys. So I just want to shout out Reading with the Rapper. Look at Star Academy. I'll be the only teacher, the lead teacher at City Hall this summer in Missouri City. So look out for that.
Well, congratulations. It's like, wow.
Yes, I think it's so many things that we hold ourselves back from just because of that fear, and really making sure that we're leaping into those new opportunities and going out on a limb, even just applying to things that you may not be 100% qualified for. You don't know who God is going to put on the other side of that hiring table that's going to see something in you. So never, don't ever stop trying. Don't ever stop applying. Don't ever stop working towards your dreams.
Especially, it's a lot of, like, I feel like a lot of people, and maybe everyone's just kind of waking up to going after your dream or going after what you want to do.
Yes. And I think it's because when we're a little bit younger in our early 20s, we feel like we have so much time and we're having fun and we're enjoying life and we're having these experiences, but we're not really building our career. So then when you get my age, when you're 26 and up, 27, 28, 29, it's like, dang, I'm almost 30. And what have I really built? And I think that's where I'm at right now. What have I built? And let me go ahead and rebuild my life. Like, I want to change that perspective, that party girl, that fun, that hangout, like, just into what can I use my platform for? Because I know a lot of people, I have a lot of friends, X, Y, and Z, but it's like, what can I do to have purpose? And not just be a pretty girl, not just be a party girl, not just be X, Y, and Z. How can I change my life to impact those around me?
Now that's amazing, especially moving into purpose, from party to purpose.
Party to purpose.
Be one of your books. That'd be so cool.
Exactly. I was like, come on now, it's the PV in me, you know. You know what they say, but we do produce productive people, so.
That's awesome. But I have one question for you. In your opinion, what role do stories play in shaping confidence and emotional intelligence?
Like we said earlier, children's books are the first time that kids see themselves in a positive light. Um, their names, their culture, the way they look, that's the first place where they can build their confidence, because they see themselves around them in their environment. They may not see the people that look like them. So introducing that in a book, a positive role model, a positive female, a positive male, through a book, it can really help sustain where they're going. And it really can give them that glimpse of, there is more to my life than what is around me.
That is true. Especially when, as you're working on other projects, will that also still carry on confidence in building some form of emotional intelligence?
Exactly. And I think that we have to be very intentional. Not only do we need to get the books, we need to reinforce the content. We need to reinforce that you are loved, you are beautiful, no matter what. Now, you can always improve yourself, but we need to have a basis of, you are amazing already. And whatever you choose to do is because you choose it for you and no one else.
Like, so it's really what does it say? People say that when you have things are going well in your life, you want to claim it, but then things going bad in your life, you want to blame other people. But it sounds like what you're saying, we own all of it.
Yes. And like I was saying earlier, sometimes you're part of the problem, and we need to recognize that. Sometimes you are self-sabotaging. Sometimes you are getting in your own way. Sometimes, again, your fear is stifling you. So look at yourself. You need to do a life audit. Look at all the things, all the places that you are, your financial, your spiritual, your mental, your physical, and really audit your life and use AI tools to even help you and generate some of those things so that you can make a sustainable path to where you really want to go.
Also, we're coming close to the end. It's been so much fun, but now we're going to enter our fire round. So it's our top few questions. First thing comes to your mind. So,
okay.
Our first question, for writers or creatives listening who feel afraid to begin, what is one point of advice you would give them?
Just do it. Just do it. Get out of your head and just start, please. The world is waiting to hear what you have to say.
All right. What book or resource would you recommend for authors today?
I think really look at the people that you want to be like. So, for example, the people in your field, that is who you need to be studying. You can't study, Zora Neale Rupp, like if that's not your lane. You need to find who speaks to you and try to build, yourself off of that type of vibe.
Awesome. All right. And most importantly, really, where can listeners connect with you and support your work?
Yes, JynesisHawkins.com is my website. If you want to find anything, learn anything about my nonprofit, go to JynesisHawkins.com. You can also connect with me on Instagram at Jynesis Hawkins or on TikTok with Miss Hawkins Class.
Fabulous. Thank you so much, Jynesis, for joining us today. And this has been Pen by Design. I'll catch you guys next time. If today's episode helped you think bigger about your writing, your brand, or the work you're building, be sure to subscribe, share it with another writer, author, or creative CEO, and leave a review. And if you're ready to pen your own story designed by you, join me on the Pen by Design newsletter over on Substack for more resources, insight, and encouragement. You'll find all the links in the show notes. Until next time, keep building, keep creating, and most importantly, keep writing writers. The world needs your story. I'll see you in the next show.